Greetings, everyone. My name is Mirna, and on behalf of the Mindalia TV team, we want to welcome you to Mindalia live streaming, where thousands of people around the world gather to see the lectures and interviews organized by Mindalia TV. Today with us, we have Eileen Head. Eileen is an Enneagram personality and relationship expert, personality pattern coach, and speaker. She's a best-selling author of Why Can't I Figure Us Out?, where after divorce, she figured out the couple dynamics of what happened through Enneagram Personalities. Eileen has been called the relationship whisperer, as she assists people with the Get Loved Relationships online program to get the love you desire. She has a Should I Stay or Should I Go program, as well as the Singles Guide to Personality Matching to get you into compatibility and which personality will make you the happiest. Before starting, we want to remind you that if you want to help people like you to get the benefits of our content, there is a couple of things you can do just by clicking this video, like liking this video or subscribing to our channel, or just leaving us a positive comment down below. You help us reach as much people as possible. Also, before starting, we want to let you know that you can participate in this lecture if you use the chat on the side of your screen. Just remember the format, please. It's going to be the word question in caps, then the place where you're seeing us from and the actual question you want answered. And at the end of the lecture, we're going to have a Q&A section where the questions will be answered. Without further delay, I'm going to leave you with Eileen. Eileen, the camera is yours.
I did unmute it. You can hear me now?
Yes, now we can hear you. Great. It's
Sorry
technology. No, it's okay. It happens.
All right. Well, thank you so much for inviting me on. I'm super excited to share this topic because I know that many people struggle in life, relationships, and confusion. So I'm going to share my my PowerPoint with you now. Here we go. 1 second. Technology. All right, here we go.
Yes, you can take your time.
All right, great. So I'd ask you to please turn off any distractions. Please be fully present. And I'm going to use general terminology for this webinar with male, female, marriage, relationships, etc. Even though I'm aware there's many different sorts of relationships, it just helps the presentation better. So you're not seeing it on your screen though, are you? I'm not sure what's happening here.
We do. We see the PowerPoint.
But I don't think it's not, for some reason, it's not projecting on the other screen. I see it only on my screen.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not advancing, right?
Yes, exactly. It stopped. It's like a single slide.
Yeah. Okay. Just a second. So
take your time.
Current slide. And why is it not letting me?
I think we are in the second slide.
Yeah, but it's got to advance automatically.
Oh, okay.
Give me 1 second. Slideshow. Because we had it, so it. All right. I see. I need to click it over here. Let's see if this works. My apology to the audience.
It's okay.
So whether you're in a couple relationship, single, or processing through divorce, this information is going to be very valuable to you. Relationships can be confusing. So whether you're in a relationship as a couple, a boss, coworker, families, friends, or even an ex-partner, they can be very confusing. And people find them very frustrating. And we attempt to figure them out. It's still not displaying properly. And this is going to be a problem. So can, all right, we'll just.
How can I help you? Is there anything I can do to help you?
It's not advancing on both of them to where I can see it.
Okay.
To where I can see my notes. So let me go here. I'll just work through it. If people are patient, I'm really sorry. When relationships are stressful, we don't know what's not working, why, or how. And that's what keeps us stuck in the stress and disconnection. The number one reason that relationships fail is that we are unaware of our negative personality patterns that are sabotaging us. We need to do a better job of managing our own patterns and understanding the effect they have on others so that we can relate. We have no idea what our fundamental core emotional need is in order to feel loved and to communicate what that is. Until you understand your personality, you're not going to understand that. And we need to understand our personality couple dynamics so that we can resolve our issues between us. Here's a statistics for you. 2/3 of what couples fight about are individual personality perspective differences and are irreconcilable unless you understand your personality couple dynamics. And most people don't know what that is. Here's a video.
So why do we have so much trouble relating to our partner?
Well, typically, we don't choose a partner who's our personality. So how we focus our energy on does not make sense to them.
And this happens all the time.
Each personality has specific fundamental needs and have developed coping skills to get these needs met. Although those behaviors may seem foreign to your partner, they will seem natural to you.
And so we might not understand or relate to what is vital and important to our partner.
You need this information to be able to connect and support each other.
And this is when conflicts arise when you don't understand.
Right. 2/3 of what couples fight about are individual personality perspective differences and are irreconcilable until you understand your couple personality dynamics.
And we have these differences, and we'll defend what is important to us also.
And defend them very strongly. It's a survival instinct to defend our fundamental needs. But when you have two people who aren't even aware of what these needs are, it may make no sense why each of you are reacting so strongly.
And so what you're saying is that we often are unable to even explain it to ourselves, let alone our partner.
Yeah, because these are unconscious patterns until you become aware. Then you can relate, be compassionate, and come together.
Oops, hang on. I did a survey and I asked 3 questions with couples with regard to personality differences. And here's what they said. I asked them, what are the biggest challenges? And they said, well, the challenge is that we have these personality differences. And then what is the frustrations? And they said, well, we have the personality differences. And when we talk about them, we end up not knowing how to solve them. So we end up having the same fights over and over again. And what was the biggest fear? Well, the biggest fear was that the personality differences were going to break them apart. And actually, that's what generally happens to relationships, because the differences become too big and you don't know how to solve them. You have the same fights. The 9 Enneagram personalities have each of their own way of thinking, feeling, acting, and reacting. And so I'm going to show you that there are reasons that you're sabotaging your relationships that you might not even know about or recognize. And these differences cause a lot of conflict and they cause a lot of stress in relationships. I'm going to share with you how my personality type has given me skills to learn to create happy relationships. Dreams. What were your dreams when you first met your partner? How many of them have come true? Is your relationship what you pictured it would be? Or maybe with life's busyness, you aren't as close as you used to be or want to be. Remember in the beginning when you were so excited and you had so many things in common and you had so much fun together? Are you still having that fun? Relationships can be confusing. We spend a lot of time trying to figure out our partner. What are they thinking? What are they feeling? Do they have feelings? And why is it that how they are reacting makes no sense to us, and the vice versa? What we're doing makes no sense to them either. Sometimes we can feel a period of disconnection from our partner, and we might feel the pain of, is this all there is? So where are you in your relationship now? Has your relationship become flat and disconnected? Do you feel invaluable and invisible? Are you chronically unhappy and feel powerless to change the relationship? I've heard people often say, well, I love them, but I'm not in love with them anymore. Maybe you've been unhappy for a long time. Do any of these ring true for you? Here's some relationship myth busting. Everybody has the same values and needs that I do. It's really surprising. When I learned the 9 different personalities and how they're so different from each other, doesn't everyone want to think and be like me in the world? But really, when you think about it, wouldn't that be a very boring world? It would be like playing the same note at the same time, only having one kind of fabric, one color. Life would be very, very boring. Often, though, we think others should think and react the way we do. But again, that's not the way the world works, and that would make it a very boring world. And here's one that a lot of women say: if my partner loved me, they would know what it is that I need. Oh boy. Are you relating to any of these? On an individual level, I believe that we're looking for the answers to these 3 questions. Who am I? And what is my value? See, we look for our value in all our relationships. And so we go around almost like having a cord and wanting to plug into others. Do you value me? Do you value me? And what happens is that different personalities will perceive you and react to you differently. So it can be very confusing to find our own value. We're also looking for our own passion and purpose, because that gives our life meaning. And the big one is, how do I get loved the way I need? I'm going to show you the answers to how I found the answers to these 3 questions. So I'm going to share a little bit of my journey with you. I'm going to give you some background on how I learned the Enneagram and how it relates to my life. In my family of origin, I often felt like I was an individual planet, and we were all rotating around each other, each lost in our own little world. I grew up on a farm in Saskatchewan in Canada, and I had 3 older brothers. There were 3 years between each of us, so there were 9 years between my oldest brother and myself. And they were responsible for looking after all the chores on the farm. And they didn't want a younger sibling, let alone a girl, tagging along behind them. And so I often would get excluded. And I looked for ways to be included. And so I would often do things that would be helpful to my brothers. Did you remember your lunch kit? Do you have your homework? My parents struggled in their relationship, and so often I would attempt to make things easier. I would try to get dad to engage with mom, and I would, when they had arguments, I would try to smooth things over with them. I didn't realize, even at that young age, that I was forming patterns of my personality. All I knew was I yearned for them to include me and to connect more closely with them. Did you feel like that too in your family of origin? Did you feel lonely and disconnected, like you were fighting for attention all the time? I met my husband at 16, married him at 18, and thought he was my Prince Charming and we would be married forever. Finally, someone just for me. That was my graduation picture from high school. And that hairstyle was very in then. It was called the hair stack. Man alive, when I look at that picture, we were so young. I thought we would share our hopes and dreams and that we'd talk to each other about our frustrations or when we were hurt. Most of all, I thought we would create a close, connected relationship, that he would accept me for who I am and support me through my challenges. But it wasn't like that. We were married for 35 years. And in all that time, I kept thinking, we're going to figure this out. Even from the very beginning, I felt this disconnection between us. And when I would ask him what was wrong or what was creating his withdrawal, he would say nothing. And I wouldn't know what to do with that. See, both our families had this pattern of not communicating when we were hurt or upset and becoming silent, sometimes for days. And that left me feeling uncertain of myself and feeling helpless. Have any of you experienced this? I'm sure you have. In every relationship, there's disconnection. At times, there's wondering, what are they thinking? Why are they reacting that way? And it can create a lot of tension if you don't have those skills of being able to communicate really well with each other. I couldn't figure out why there seemed to be like a glass wall between us. I could see him, but I was unable to connect with him or engage him, at least not in a way that I needed. And whatever I seemed to try shut him down and turned him into my silent partner. He was a complete mystery to me, and I'm pretty sure that I was to him as well. I'd often go to bed at night and I'd go through, a conversation we had or a situation that we'd had, and I'd wonder, what was it that happened? Was it what I said, should have said, could have I said it differently? I was just looking for answers of what was causing all of this. You know what the definition of insanity is? It's going over the same thing over and over again with the same information and expecting a different answer. And we didn't have any new information. And so we just kept struggling along in this relationship. Both of us struggled. And I'd see other couples, and they would seem so comfortable with each other, and they could talk and laugh. And I'd look at them and I think, what's their secret? Why can't I figure that out? What is it that I'm doing that's causing this? And there must be answers somewhere. And so I searched for answers. I looked for answers in self-help books. I read stacks of them. I took workshops. I read marriage manuals. And while they gave me some answers, they didn't give me the specifics of our couple dynamics and what was going on between us. Sure, I got some, sure, I got some, some tools. So when you do that, I feel what I want is, and when I would try those things, he'd often just roll his eyes and get up and leave, or he wouldn't know how to answer me. So he would just shut down. He didn't have the answers either. Throughout that marriage, I ended up feeling not enough, not good enough, lonely, chronically unhappy, and powerless to change the situation. And as time went on, I became very, very stressed. I just didn't know what to do. I wanted a happy marriage. I searched for answers, but everywhere I looked and everything I tried just didn't work. And so the pressure built up and I became so stressed, crying all the time. I would cry in the grocery store. I would cry driving home. And the stress was constant for me because my relationship was so important to me. And I started to get some medical reports coming back. And I knew that there was dis-ease in my body. See, if we don't take care of the stress and conflict and pressure in our body, that's where diseases come. What happens when we can't figure it out? We feel unappreciated, unloved, and that they just don't get us. We don't feel accepted for who we are and what we bring to the relationship. And it affects our self-esteem, our self-confidence, and our self-worth. And then we get defensive. And it's a natural way, when we're hurt, we become defensive. We begin to go into resentment. We justify our actions, and we become righteous about what we are doing. We blame the other person. And when we cannot resolve it, it gets too painful to stay, and we give up. And that's when relationships end. Through those years, I felt very much a victim. I felt powerless to change him. Have you ever been there? Everybody has, I think, right? We've all been in a victim place where we don't understand and we're confused and frustrated. And I thought, you know what? If he would just change, we would have a perfect relationship. It was all his fault. Very much a victim perspective. But life is all about choices. I could stay and continually be unhappy with the hope that things would change and we'd find a way to connect and communicate. I could stay in misery and victimhood. It's all his fault. Or I could make some choices for myself. See, at the time, I did not realize that my husband did not know what I needed in order to feel loved, because I didn't know that either. Neither one of us had information that would change the situation. When you've been married for a long time, neither one of you wants to throw in the towel. And I kept thinking things would change, believing I was doing everything I could do to make it work. And so when I came to believe that nothing would ever change, I decided to leave. I realized that I needed to leave him for me, or dis-ease would affect my health and well-being. At the 11th hour, my husband said to me, well, let's go get some help. And I went, oh my gosh, now I am so done. I don't want to get help now. I've asked you over and over through the years, and he just wasn't willing to do that. But I said, okay, I'll try one last thing. So I looked and looked, and all I could find was a relationship course that included the Enneagram Personalities. The Ennea what, you're saying? I'll explain that a bit more later. So anyway, they gave us a personality assessment. And reading my personality profile was the biggest aha moment in my life. It was like reading my own biography. And it told me so much about myself. It told me about my strengths. It told me what people value in me. I didn't know that people valued me for being caring and giving and nurturing. I had no idea that's how I put my energy in the world. And as I mentioned before, we need to know our value so that we can build on that and build on our strengths. And then it also showed me some other things over here that when I read them, they stung a bit. Those were my challenges. And challenges, when you look at them, they're there, you're aware of them, but you want to pretend they're not there, or you push them away, because if you don't know how to change them, they just make you feel bad about yourself. So often we don't look at our challenges. But here's the cool thing about the Enneagram. When you take your challenges and build them into strengths, that's where your real power is. That's when you step into who you are. Excuse me, I need a drink. Got a ticklish throat. I was so excited because now I knew what it was that I could work on. And that felt very empowering. And then I read my husband's profile. And in 35 minutes, I knew more about him, myself, and our relationship than in all those years we'd lived together. And I was ecstatic. See, I knew there were answers somewhere, and I searched for 35 years for those answers. I was at a crossroads, and I had choices to make. So what it was that I learned to do is that I learned to heal, develop, and grow. And it's a process. If any of you have ever gone through divorce, you know it's not easy, and you know it is a process. If you're the one leaving, you've already spent a great deal of time working through your emotions before you walk out that door. By this time, I was no longer willing to settle for a flat and unloving relationship. I was done with trying to make it work. I could either, and I was at this crossroads, I could either spiral down into years of misery and bitterness and victimhood, blaming him for the relationship not working out, or I could choose to take this knowledge to learn, to grow, and to heal. And that's what I did. I took the knowledge of the Enneagram to help me transform. I invested in myself, my relationship, and my life. People often ask me, when you discovered this while you were still married, why didn't it help you, or why didn't you stay together? But here's the thing. Sometimes your partner is not always ready for growth that you are. They're not ready to look at themselves. And he was not willing to look at the information, and like I was absolutely lit up. When I found this information and I looked at this, I knew this was something that could help many people, that with my helper personality, I could help other people so they didn't need to struggle like this. So I immediately began to take my certification and my training. I spent thousands of dollars in this training, and it is the best thing I ever did in my life. The research of the Enneagram is so detailed, complex, and rich, and yet it is simple and easy to use, and it has transformed my life. See, here's the thing. I, too, had a response ability. After I went through my divorce and working with the Enneagram, I realized that I needed to look at my negative patterns and claim my response ability for my part in that relationship. The Enneagram gave me great clarity about myself and this relationship. I had struggled all those years, and I want to help others to create conscious, connected, loving relationships. As I delved into this, and it became my reason for living, my oxygen. I was so excited about the information. And you can find lots of information on the internet on the individual profiles. But what is not as easy to find is the couple dynamics and putting the couples together. And so I did some research, and I want to share with you how specific this information is. Here's what I learned. We're two great people. We didn't understand our personality couple dynamics. We had the same values, same morals, same goals, and yet just didn't understand how to come together to connect and be able to relate to each other. So here's what I learned. I'm a 2 supporter personality, and my ex-husband is a 9 peace seeker. I learned that as a 2 supporter, in a relationship, I need a close connection. And so I intensely attempted to engage him, which felt controlling to him. So he withdrew to maintain his independence and his identity. When he did that, I would feel rejected with his withdrawal. And for my personality, that's devastating, especially when all my energy is focused on him and our relationship. For him, my personality pattern was too intrusive, and he did everything he could to avoid conflict, which he believed keeping silent would do. That's a personality trait for him. For his personality, maintaining peace and harmony is fundamental to his happiness. And this is the dance we did for 35 years, unconscious, unaware. Here's some of the information on our 2 personalities. Because of the inability for both of these 2 personality types to articulate clearly, many of the challenges in the supporter peace seeker relationship are hidden below the surface, adding to the confusion. Both believe they are giving up what they want for the other. They are dismayed, frustrated, and feeling unloved, with no idea what the other one needs or how to collaborate and communicate to create a loving, connected relationship. They are stuck in unconscious patterns developed in their childhood. Only awareness of their personality patterns can resolve this to create connection. And so, we never know where life goes. We think we know what our path is when we get married, and then it can take us down a very different path. And I wanted to share my experience of why can't I figure this out with other people? And I became an international bestseller when I wrote my book. Never in a million years would I have imagined that I would ever do this or that my journey would take me this way. And on my journey, it has given me many opportunities to grow and expand, to be a bigger person, to play life in a bigger way. So in this picture, here I am. I was invited to the Enneagram conference in 2005 in Toronto, Canada. Can you imagine that? And I teach at workshops, and I do interviews with other people. I'm honing my speaker skills. I go to conventions. See, life is the ripple effect. One small change can have an enormous impact in the world and those around you. Here's my vision. As each person becomes the best person they can be with the knowledge of the Enneagram, they can become better partners, parents, bosses, co-workers, sons, daughters, friends, brothers, sisters, etc. It reduces stress, and it creates connected, loving relationships. If only everyone would have the awareness of their personality patterns and learn the Enneagram. So, what are personalities? Well, personalities are just patterns of behavior. And when you recognize the pattern, you will understand the personality and be able to relate to the person. This creates compassion and assists you in solving conflicts and creates connection. So I'm going to give you some insights into the 9 personalities and how to get along with them. It looks like a really complicated modality, but it really isn't. And it doesn't take long for people to learn it. I'm going to give you just a brief description of it. There's more information on my website. But the word Enneagram means, in Greek, Ennea means 9, and gram means a circle. And the circle is a universally symbol of unity and wholeness. The Enneagram is unique from all other personality models like Myers-Briggs or Colors or the DISC, in that it has what's called a path of development. It shows you, remember I told you those challenges, when I read them, they stung? Well, in the Enneagram, it shows you what those challenges are, what those behaviors are, and then how you can replace them with behaviors that are more life-enhancing. And I'll tell you, that feels really awesome. When you can look at what you're doing and you can go, oh, I'm doing that again. Let me help understand myself. Why is it that I'm doing that? Now here's the pattern that I can change. Boom. You can create instant changes within yourself. The Enneagram also identifies your stress patterns, so people can identify that and support you when you're stressed, your conflict, anger, communication, and your loving patterns. So I'm going to show you, I'm a 2 supporter personality, and when I get really stressed, I go over and use some of the traits of the assertive personality. I become more direct, I become more confrontational, maybe a little more aggressive. I stand up, say what it is I need to say, but it doesn't feel good staying there for my personality. So then I go back to my home type. My path of development, because 2 supporters, oops, oh, I need to go back. Can I go back? Oops, I guess I can. Let me see if I can go back. Oh. Anyway, my path of development is to go to the 4 expressor personality. And that is to learn what my own needs are, because 2 supporters often put everyone else before themselves. They look after everyone else's needs, and they really aren't aware of their own needs or what they want. So it's important for them to do that for their own growth. The Enneagram will give you a clear picture of who am I and what it is that I value in the world. It's been around since the 1700s. What we know about it is that the Sufis taught it to the Jesuits, who taught it to the seminarians, and then it was taught to other people. It's used in religions, it's used in corporations for leadership style. It's well respected, well renowned, used personally and professionally to enhance life experiences. The Enneagram is an ancient body of wisdom that holds the key to unlocking the true understanding of the depth of our being and other people in a kind and compassionate way. It simplifies our life by helping us understand why we do what we do. It's an awareness map of consciousness that illuminates the 9 ways of being in the world. And it gives deep insight into the 9 fundamentally different personality perspectives, each with their own way of seeing the world, their own attitudes, and ways of thinking, feeling, and reacting. And when you have this information, you have a wealth of information to understand others. Learning your personality type perspective will transform the way you feel about yourself. So your personality was formed as a survival technique and a coping strategy. You formed unconscious patterns, traits, roles in order to get love the way you need. In that family of origin, everybody's always jockeying around for the most attention and to be loved and appreciated. And you know, our parents did the best they could with the information they had, And often it was just information passed down generationally. And often it wasn't all that healthy of an information. And now that we have the internet and at the click of a button, we can learn almost anything and lots of information. We can be better parents and people and coworkers and friends and family. So this is a picture of the 9 personality pictures of children when they were younger. So whether you're aware of it or not, your personality is formed by about the age of 7. You have all your programming in by then. You formed your belief, you formed your patterns. I told you about, being a helper and a supporter and trying to help my brothers so I would be included. So for the perfecter child, oh, darn. Let me see if I can go back. Oh, I can figure this out. So for the perfecter child, as children, they always wanted to be good. They wanted to be the good child. And so they always did things that were right. And they always heard things as criticism. And so that's what drove them to being a good child. The 2 supporter personality, as children, they learn to be helping and giving and nurturing others. The 3 achiever child, they learn to perform. They probably did something where they got a lot of attention when they performed something. So they love being the center of attention and learn to go after what they wanted. The 4 expressor child, they're very dramatic and moody as children, very sensitive and emotional. The 5 contemplator child was a child that was often called the bookworms. They were often more introverted. The 6 questioner child was anxious, a child who worried about things a lot and what might go wrong. The 7 optimister children, they're children who from a very early age are very, very happy all the time, positive, upbeat, happy, happy, happy. The 8 asserter child was a very powerful child. They often took control of the situation. And I've seen families where there's a 5-year-old child running that family, very strong personalities. And the 9 peace seeker child was a quiet, shy, nice child. So I'm going to give you a bit more detail now to give you some information on the different personalities. So maybe you can find yourself, you can recognize them. Maybe you'll pick out some family members or your partner. Remember, this is not about judgment at all. This is about compassionately understanding so that we can relate and connect to others. So the 1 perfecter, they are focused on details and being right. They are the most structured of all personalities. They're organized, principled, high standards, meticulous, detailed, conscientious, responsible, improvement-oriented, and self-controlled. They have rules for everything and can also be critical and resentful and self-judging. The 2 supporter focuses on relationships, nurturing, and helping to connect. Love is the most important thing to them. Relationships just aren't a part of their life. They are their life. And they intuitively see and meet the needs of others. They're caring, helpful, and supportive. They can be overly intrusive with their giving and helping. 3 achievers, they focus on work, achieving, succeeding, and gaining accomplishments. They're energetic, goal-driven, strives to be number 1, competitive, very competitive, positive, upbeat, and industrious. They can also be image-driven and workaholics. 4 expressors, they focus on being expressive and authentic. They're the most sensitive, capable of emotional depth, in touch with their feelings, and they easily express their emotions. They're also the most dramatic and can be moody. Contemplators, they are the observers of life. They focus on knowledge and wisdom. They love research, data, facts. They're in their head a lot, very logical, calm, serene, solution-oriented, most introverted, and least emotional. 6 questioners, they focus on safety and security because they need assurance. They use logic, they act quickly, they're loyal, reliable, skeptical, they're worriers, very likable. And in most cases, they're the most anxious and tend to be seen as pessimistic, but they call it being realistic. 7 optimisters focus on fun and freedom. They're the pleasure seekers. See life as adventure, quick thinking, continually happy, open to possibilities, spontaneous, always lots happening, new experiences, and they can be irresponsible and they act before considering the consequences. 8 asserters, they are strong. They stay in control. They are confident, direct, powerful. They take charge. They're very protective, great leaders, always on the go, and they make things happen. They dominate to maintain power, and they often have a saying, my way or the highway. 9 peace seekers focus on peace, harmony, and avoiding conflict. They see all points of view. They're great negotiators. They go along with others. They're nice, pleasing personalities, and they can be challenging to others with procrastination and passive aggressiveness. Did you find yourself? Because the goal is to connect us all together through understanding our personalities. And there's a quiz on my website that you can take and learn about your personality too. So there's lots of ways you can use the Enneagram. I see we're running out of time, so I'm going to move through these. Loving through your differences, you need to understand your couple dynamics. In a very short period of time, with the information in your profiles, I guarantee there will be a noticeable difference in your relationship. You will identify the key dynamics that determine successful relationships. You will have awareness to meet each other's core emotional needs. You'll be giving because both your needs matter. You will understand and communicate each other's needs, and you will identify and manage your own patterns. Each of you has fundamental emotional needs for your well-being, and often we have no idea what those are for ourselves, let alone sharing them or understanding what our partner needs. Learning the Enneagram and each other's personalities, you will understand your couple dynamics, your similarities, your differences, what matters and why, how to understand and relate and solve your personality differences, but most of all, how to connect, support, and love each other deeply. See, happiness is an inside job. No one else can make you happy, but the Enneagram can show you the steps to take to learn how to do that. Learning the Enneagram has been life-changing for me. There's no behavior that is surprising to me anymore. I can understand and relate no matter what the situation, even when triggered. I feel more in control. I can now speak up and get my needs met. I know what my emotional needs are and can communicate them. It has helped me to become more solution-based. And my life feels very balanced now, and rarely is there a lot of drama. I can work on letting go of outcome, and that's a huge thing, people. Letting go of outcome, letting people be different, understanding why they're different, letting go of your expectations, managing yourself and your own patterns will give you a great deal of peace, harmony, and a sense of control. And as I shifted and changed, so many things around me changed as well. What I've come to understand is that life is a journey. Everything happens for a reason. And we are responsible for our own outcome. Thank you so much for being on this presentation. My technology didn't exactly go the way that I had hoped, but we managed through it, and I hope you found it informative. So whether you're in a couple relationship, whether you're single looking for a partner, in family situations, or in your career, the Enneagram can give you information, and I've got lots of resources lots of free resources for you on my website. So now we're ready for the question and answers. And let me come over back to you.
Thank you so much, Eileen. It was definitely very interesting content. We want to thank you for sharing that with us. We're going to go to the Q&A section, but before starting, we want to remind our audience that if you want to help other people like you to have the benefit of getting the content that we share in our channel, there's a couple of things that you can do just by liking this video, leaving us a positive comment down below, or subscribing to our channel. You help us reach as much people as possible through the platform that we are currently using. And also, remind you that Mindalia TV is a nonprofit organization. We are a non-government organization, and our only mission is just to spread as much knowledge as possible and to, or through that, raise the level of consciousness around the globe. Eileen, we're going to start with our Q&A section. So are you still there? Well, it seems that we have an small incident, technological incident. Eileen is momentarily disconnected from the platform, but we're going to have her shortly. Let's work on that. We are waiting for Mrs. Eileen to be back with us. And as soon as we have her, we will continue with the Q&A section. Eileen to be back with us. We have you right here, Eileen. Can you hear me? You hear me? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. We have you right here, Eileen. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Then we're going to start with the Q&A, okay? And right now, I can't hear you. No.
Now?
Now, yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Then we're going to start with the Q&A, okay?
Yeah.
And right now, I can't hear you.
I can hear you.
No.
No? Now?
Now, yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes. There's an echo. Just a second.
And right now, I can't hear you.
I can hear you.
No.
No? Now?
Now, yes.
Can you hear me? Yes.
There's an echo. Just a second.
And right now, I can't hear you.
I can hear you.
No.
Now?
Now, yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes. There's an echo. Just a second.
Now, yes. Okay, we are facing technological issues. It's just an incident. We're trying to solve it. But in the meantime, we are going to, let's see, I think we have her.
Okay, am I back?
Yeah, you're back. It happens. Don't worry about it. It's normal. So we're gonna start. We're gonna start just with the Q&A. Okay, we have some questions here, and you're gonna be hearing my voice.
Okay. Yep.
The first question we have here is: how can we get the other to understand how we are feeling?
So first of all, you need to understand that for yourself. And when you get the very specific information of the Enneagram personalities, you can share that information with your partner. You remember where I showed you it's like having an operator's manual to yourself. It's a profile that you can give them. And I created an online program so that people can share that information with their partner, because they don't know what you're thinking. You don't know what they're thinking. And when you bring this together, it makes life so much easier.
Thank you so much, Eileen. Let's go with the next one. It says, why is everything so easy and happy in the beginning of a relationship?
Because in the beginning of the relationship, you're both really conscious of each other. You have a high level of awareness. You're on your best behavior. You want to please the other person. And then we go back to reality. We go back to life. And it's called the honeymoon phase. And it usually lasts about 3 months. But we need to go back to life. We go back into our own personalities. We go back looking for what matters to us and why. And yes, we work to get along, but you're two individual people, and often you want your needs met at the same time. And so this is where the negotiation needs to get in, or needs to come in. But when you have the understanding of why the other person is acting and reacting this way, that's when you can go to them and say, I'm seeing this happen. What's going on for you? How can I support you? Or you can start conversations like, what I need from you is this. This is what I'm feeling. You can give real clear information, but without personality information, we give very information that's very vague. Well, I want you to, I just want you to be nicer to me. Well, what does that mean? Nicer to you is very different than nicer to 8 of the other personalities.
Okay, thank you for that answer, Eileen. Next question, how can we know our personality pattern?
Well, on my website, that's my specialty, is I help people very clearly and very quickly come to understand their own operator's manual, and to bring people together, whether it's in couple dynamics, whether it's in deciding should I stay or go in a relationship, whether it's with parents and children. See, the Enneagram's been around since the 1700s, so it has information on every situation. What is your parenting style? Each personality parents differently. What is the child's personality style? What is a partner's style? And it gives you specific information on, as a 2 supporter, it told me exactly what I needed from my partner so that I could communicate that. And as my partner with my 2 personality, what they need from me and what patterns that I need to become aware of so that I'm not sabotaging the relationship. And I start managing those more effectively.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you for that answer. I see the next question. Is divorce the only solution sometimes?
No. In my Stay or Go coaching, I work on 3 different things. Here's what I've come to understand. Often we let life, we're like a boat floating down the river, and we just let life take us along. And we see, oh, I'd like to stop there. Oh, too late, life's taken us along. For me, that's what happened to me. I stayed in indecision of a 35-year marriage, probably for at least 25 of those years, and 10 very specifically. Should I stay or should I go? I help people decide to make one of 3 decisions. The first one is, let's see if we can re-engage your partner, rejuvenate the relationship, reconnect you. That's always my first goal, because there's so many misunderstandings in relationships when you don't understand your personalities. The second one is, you may decide that you're not ready to go. So you will stay and you will start working on yourself with this personality information. And the third one is, if it's unsalvageable, then you will learn how to do that with integrity, with growth. Because I had learned the Enneagram, when I did divorce, it was a very different divorce than it would have been if I had known it. I helped my ex-husband through it. I helped my children through it. And it ended up to be a very amicable divorce. Was he upset? Of course he was upset, and so was I. But learning his personality and my personality, it helped me to move through that in a kind and compassionate way. So no, divorce isn't always the option. As a matter of fact, sometimes it's not the best option. But especially in North America, it's come to look at as, yep, it's not working, so let's just divorce. But that brings along a lot of other problems because there's ex-partners to deal with, there's children, and you are always going to be in your ex-partner's life if you have children. There's going to be birthdays and weddings, and the gift that you can give your children is to make it amicable. Do not have your children with the need to manage you in a relationship that's still bitter. That's not growth. That's not being spiritual. That's not being conscious and aware. And I'll tell you, it will give you such satisfaction if you can manage yourself through those situations.
Thank you so much, Eileen. The next question we have here: why is there so many people conforming with a poor and unhappy relationship?
Because you don't know what else to do. There's many different ramifications of divorce. I didn't leave because I loved my life, other than the stressful relationship between my husband and I. And I wasn't sure how I was going to financially support myself. I wasn't sure how my kids were going to react to that. So often we stay stuck in not knowing what to do, how to do it, or how to change. And when you have this, excuse me, and when you have this information and you have more tools in order to do it, it gives you more options. It gives you a possibility to grow. I have clients who, they believed that they were going to divorce and to leave. And then very quickly, I put them together in a couple dynamics, and they're reconnecting, and they're excited, and they're re-engaging. And life can be very juicy, and then you can have it all. You can save the relationship, you have the memories, you have the children, and you have all the components that can make you happy. However, if there is any sort of abuse, let me be very clear on this. If there's any sort of abuse, the choice is you leave, and you leave as soon as you can with a plan so that you are safe.
Thank you. That's definitely very important. And next question is, sorry about that. When do we form those personality patterns?
So by the age of 7, your personality is almost fully formed. All your beliefs, I looked out on my family and I believed that I needed to be a helper. I needed to be a supporter. I needed to put other people's feelings before my own, that love wasn't unconditional, that I didn't need to have my own needs. And I was unaware of these patterns. These patterns took me to helping others and being very intrusive with my helping. And I remember hearing a statement that said, "You give so much, it gives me no other opportunity but to take." And I don't like being a taker. And I was shocked. I believed that I was helping. Who doesn't want help? Well, a lot of the other personalities want to do things their way, not the way that I want to help. And until I realized that, I was really disempowering a lot of people. And I wasn't serving myself either. It was using my personality patterns in an unhealthy way. And so now that I learned these patterns, I live my life very differently. I ask permission before helping. I don't rescue. I allow other people to, I offer them, I ask, would you like some information or some insight? I give it to them and I let go of outcome. That is the steps to growth. That's what's so cool about the Enneagram, is it has 9 levels of development that you can see your patterns and you can grow. So when I'm triggered, it's like, oh my goodness, why am I triggered on this again? But I know what it is, how to change it, and why the other person may have no idea why it is that I'm upset. but I can communicate that to them, or I can solve it for myself.
Thank you. That's really good. We have one of the last questions that we have here. It says, "What's the best matching personality for a contemplator?"
I've got all kinds of research on that,
Uh-huh.
on all the personalities. But here's the thing about the Enneagram. The Enneagram does not believe that you have to partner with a specific personality, because with awareness, consciousness, and growth, you can partner with any personality, and with some personalities, even your same personality. I wouldn't want to be partnered with another 2 supporter. I'm so tired of my own patterns that I wouldn't want to be in a relationship. But there are personalities that resonate with each other more, so for the 5 contemplator, you have patterns of, you like time on your own, you like space. Sometimes you feel other people drain you. You don't like social situations often. So those are some of the things that your partner needs to be aware of, that are traits that will make you comfortable. And you need to be aware of some of those traits to negotiate with a partner. So I could go through the 9 personalities and put you together, but that's what I do in couple dynamics. And that's what I do with singles as well, is to help you understand the patterns that you sabotage yourself, what your best traits are so you can put those forward, and which personalities you're going to be most compatible with the most easily. Did I answer that well enough?
Yes, I think you did. And the last question we have here, it says, "I am a peace seeker. I think," and then, "who is my perfect match?" It's pretty much the same question.
All right, you people, you need to contact me, because we can work on this. Because here's the thing, until we're aware of how we're putting our energy in the world, we're not aware of it. I've done singles events and or even other events, but singles events are really fun, because I take and put everybody into their 9 personality groups, and then they report back to everybody of what's important to them. And there are people there that go, "Oh my goodness, now I know what didn't work in the last relationship," or "now I know what was so upsetting." So there was a 4 expressor personality who was in a relationship with a 3 achiever. The achiever was always out working, which felt loving to them because they were working to provide assets, which they thought was loving. But the 4 expressor really wanted time with them, more time with them, and they felt abandoned when their partner was always working. So if you don't know what those dynamics are between the 2 of you, you can misunderstand, you can feel unloved. And this is why putting together couple dynamics and loving through your personality differences can make life really, really juicy. When you know that your partner gets twisted out of shape about this thing, you can really respond to that quickly, and you can head off a lot of the drama. And when they really get you at a very deep level, that's what feels loving. That feels, in my Get Loved program, my online program, I teach you what is loving about each of the personalities, so your partner can very specifically respond to you.
Well, thank you so much. We have reached the end of the Q&A section. And we want to thank you, Eileen, for being with us, for sharing this information. Is definitely very, very important, and helping. I think that many people are going to be benefit from this. Before saying goodbye, we want to remind our audience that if you want to help other people like you to get access to this knowledge that we share in our channel, there's a couple of things you can do. Just like like this video, subscribe to our channel, or leave us a positive comment down below. That help us reach as many people as possible. Also, we want to have a couple last minutes to have Eileen say goodbye. And Eileen, please, where can we reach you?
My website is eileenhead.com. I have a wealth of resources for you. Many of them are free. I'm really passionate about helping people so that they don't have to struggle in confusion and frustration like I did. And they can lead a life that's juicy and exciting. My world has expanded so much now that I understand other people. And whether they're behaving badly or they're inspiring me, all of that I understand. And it makes life, it is a possibility for all of us to come together to have that ripple effect so that we can become better partners and people and all of the things that will make the world raise the vibration and bring us all together.
Thank you, Eileen. Thank you, everyone, for staying with us, for watching this lecture. And just goodbye. Thank you. And until next time.
Blessings.